Hey everyone, it's Sevy. The 2.5 Enkanomiya event brings with us a new free-to-play weapon, the Oathsworn Eye, with refinements that thankfully aren't time-gated. It's been several updates since the last free-to-play catalyst, the Dodoko Tales, so for new players, this will indeed be their first free event catalyst. For some too, it's just another addition to their catalyst collection. But is it a good one? In this video, I'll be sharing what I think makes the Oathsworn Eye an actually great free-to-play catalyst, and then I'll also talk about how this catalyst works on Kokomi. Let's get started. The Oathsworn on paper looks somewhat tame, as you're getting only two stat benefits, attack and energy recharge. Its base attack is pretty good at 565, and the attack percent substat is also decent. And for its triggered effect, at R5 it gives 48% energy recharge for 10 seconds upon using your skill. This added ER counts towards ER scaling effects such as 4-piece emblem or Mona's A4. Taking it at face value and adapting the equipped character's stats, the Oathsworn Eye seems like a forgettable or boring free-to-play weapon. However, there's more to it than meets the Oathsworn Eye. First of all, it gives you a very good energy recharge baseline. Depending on the character it's equipped on, that starting point could either be all the ER needed to function smoothly, or the boost they need to address energy issues like Yae. If we think about the amount of energy recharge it gives, that's roughly 8 ER substat rolls, or an ER Sans main stat. If the Oathsworn gives you all the ER you need, then you can, in theory, trade ER artifact substats for offensive substats instead. For example, Yanfei can get away with only 100% inherent ER as it practically becomes 148% thanks to the Oathsworn, which is enough for bursting every other rotation. Putting on an ER Sans is discouraged as that's too much waste of damage, so it's expected you'll get the ER requirement from her artifact substats instead. But with Oathsworn, rather than scraping for ER substats from her artifacts, it's feasible to focus entirely on attack, crit, or EM substats. For example, let's compare Yanfei with Skyward Atlas to the Oathsworn. The Skyward Atlas is a somewhat similar 5-star counterpart to the Oathsworn, with both being attack stat weapons, but their passives of course are different. Obviously, the Skyward Atlas is the winner. But again, Yanfei on Oathsworn gets too much ER than needed, and as such we can look for offensive stats in her artifacts instead, which helps close the gap. If you were lacking the needed ER in the first place, then there's nothing much to change. But if you're getting too much ER and want to optimize stats, then you'll have to change the artifacts with more complementary stats, which admittedly will require resin and luck. Using Yae as another example, it's likely you'll get around 140% ER from her substats, without a battery like Raiden or Fischl that will likely fall short of consistently getting her burst up on cooldown. In those cases, plugging in the Oathsworn to get an ER of 180% or so will help you achieve that much more comfortably. If we're considering free-to-play weapons, the Prototype Amber and Mappa Mare are the most accessible options if you have billets. But the Prototype Amber is a niche support weapon, and the Mappa Mare wants high refinements to be more competitive as a general DPS weapon. So Oathsworn fills in a generalist role that two free-to-play weapons aren't as capable of providing. The closest 4-star gacha equivalents are the Wine and Song and Favonius Codex, both of which address attack and or ER needs. However, they're rarer, have more niche usage, and aren't as tempting of an option at low refinements. But since the Oathsworn is completely free, easily refined, and currently discounted for upgrading, it's a more efficient option. And while it's easy to say that a Widsith or Solar Pearl will be miles better, of course not everyone has the luck or luxury of having these weapons. Oathsworn Eye would matter less to whales and longtime players who have weapons that are way above the Spiral Abyss damage requirements. A convenient ER fix with decent damage potential. This is basically what Oathsworn Eye ultimately offers. Energy recharge may just seem like a comfortable quality of life improvement, but if we're talking about time-limited battles like Spiral Abyss, having enough energy recharge is crucial to keep your Catalyst users and overall team rotations smooth and intact. Now regarding the Oathsworn and Kokomi, one thing I've seen some players get disappointed with is how it supposedly looks perfect for Kokomi, but it has an attack percent substat instead of HP percent. I really understand the disappointment, but let me try to reframe it a different way. For one, if it were made into an HP percent weapon, that would render it only viable on Kokomi or Barbara or Tank Faye, similar to how Cinnabar Spindle is literally only viable for Albedo. And even then, they already have Prototype Amber as an option, so the Oathsworn Eye would not just be a niche weapon, it would be an easily outclassed, or at best, a side-grade catalyst to the prototype. So I do think it was better to have it as attack percent for general usability. There is one problem with the Oathsworn Eye on Kokomi, but it's not the attack percent substat not being HP percent. If it's her raw damage, then the difference is minor. For example, I compared the Oathsworn damage with another free-to-play weapon, the Prototype Amber. If I just directly replace it, then I lose about 6000 HP and do less normal attack damage. But if ever, I can technically close the gap by just getting more HP substats instead of energy recharge. That's not the issue. For me, the Oathsworn introduces a potential conflict, emphasis on potential, with Kokomi's jellyfish uptime, cooldown, and burst refresh mechanics. The typical Kokomi rotation involves casting her jellyfish, setting up your other teammates' skills and bursts within 10 seconds or less, depending on the team, and then switching to Kokomi's burst just before the jellyfish expires to refresh its duration. It's valuable to do that so that the jellyfish can continuously heal and apply hydro. However, the Oathsworn Eye's ER buff only lasts 10 seconds after using her skill. That means in the regular Kokomi rotation, she'll be off-field for most of those 10 seconds while you set up your team, and she's unable to catch any particles herself. And when she's back on the field for her burst, the Oathsworn buff is almost or entirely gone, and you have to wait for the skill to cool down. By then, her burst will have ended, and while you can cast the jellyfish already, you'll have to switch her out again to do team rotations. So in that scenario, you're not making use of the Oathsworn's added ER when she's on the field. This doesn't mean that the extra ER is completely a waste though, since any particle you get while she's off-field still gets a boost. It's just that they don't line up as neatly as they ought to. The workaround is to cast her jellyfish simultaneously when she uses her burst, so that while the Oathsworn Eye's passive is up, she can be on field to catch the particles. But casting her jellyfish that close to her burst kind of defeats the purpose of her burst refreshing its duration. And in the time before she casts her jellyfish, she's not applying any hydro, which is problematic if she is your only hydro applicator in a team that relies on hydro reactions, like a Taser, Freeze, or Sukokomon team. Accounting for this problem, the Prototype Amber, even just at R1, is an easier weapon to use with Kokomi, as the ER refund mechanic is more convenient and much better at higher refinements. Would I still put the Oathsworn on Kokomi for the aesthetics? Well, yes. And I'm glad it's not as niche as the donut. And those are some of my thoughts on the Oathsworn Eye and how it is on Kokomi. I think that overall it is a good free catalyst that can at least complement most catalyst characters in the game, especially if you don't have access to many catalyst weapons in the first place. The importance of energy recharge even in late game shouldn't be underestimated. That's going to be all for this video, everyone. If you enjoyed it or if it helped you out, don't forget to leave a like and comment down below how you're liking the new event and who you put the new catalyst on. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already for more Genshin guides and content, and I will see you soon. Take care!